2004 Honda S2000, the 13th of the 20 Hondas I've owned in my life. We picked up this one used in 2009. At the time, my wife had been driving our 2005 Honda Pilot for about 4 years, and I was perfectly content in my 2008 Honda Fit Sport getting 30 miles per gallon as we were coming out of the 2008 recession. Our kids were getting older, around 7 and 9, and honestly, both cars were doing exactly what we needed at the time. But not quite. The S2000 bug never really went away after owning one of the first in the United States, a 2000 S2000, and then soon after a 2001. I love those cars. I love having a convertible, and every time the weather turned nice, I missed it. Then I came across it, a 2004 Laguna Blue S2000 with a hardtop, just 13,000 miles for $17,000. At that point, there wasn't much to think about. I bought it. Anyone who knows S2000 prices today understands just how good a deal that was. And here's the context. Throughout the entire production run, dealers around here were still asking about $5,000 over MSRP, even on the final 2009 models. And by then, it was already known that 2009 would be the last year for the S2000. So my plan was simple. Grab one and hold on to it long term, knowing that these cars were going to be something special down the road. The 2004 Honda S2000, now called the AP2, was a lot different from my 2000 and 2001, which were now referred to as AP1. Starting in 2004, Honda did a significant redesign of the S2000, and that's what became known as the AP2. I'll get into that difference in a bit, but first, let's focus on my 2004. Under the hood, the S2000 received a new version of the F-Series engine, the F22C1, a 2.2-liter. Early reports sometimes listed it at 237 horsepower, but Honda officially rated it at 240 horsepower. Either way, the number isn't really the story. The redline dropped to about 8,200 RPM, down from the 9,000 RPM of the earlier cars. And here's the interesting part. The performance numbers were almost identical to my previous S2000s. The difference was in how the power was delivered. The 0 to 60 was still right around 5.4 seconds, and the quarter mile came in around 14.2. Honda kept the near perfect 50-50 weight distribution, and it was still pulling around a 0.95 lateral G, which for the time was seriously impressive. Now, this is where the story shifts a bit. I had already lived with the early S2000s, the 2000 and 2001. Those were the AP1 cars, high-revving, 9,000 RPMs, and honestly, a little wild at the limit. You had to drive them up in the RPM range to really get anything out of them. That was part of the charm, but also part of the challenge. By 2004, Honda stepped back and reworked the formula. That's where the AP2 comes in. They bumped the engine up to 2.2 liters, kept the 240 horsepower, but brought the power down into mid-range. The redline dropped down to 8,200 RPM, by the way the same as the old Del Sol VTEC B16A engine, but the car felt stronger in normal driving. And more importantly, it became more predictable. The AP1 could bite you if you weren't paying attention. The AP2, still sharp, but a lot more composed. So from my perspective, having owned both, this wasn't Honda making the car softer. Honda made it better. Same DNA, same car, just tuned for the real world instead of the spec sheets. Back to my 2004 Honda S2000. My 2000 S2000 was all about discovering the car, taking it to the drag strip, seeing what it could do. The 2001 was about pushing it harder. Autocross, track time with the Porsche Club out at PIR, really exploring the limits. But the 2004, this one was different. This was more about enjoying the car. I started going to cars and coffee events, and by then the local S2000 community had grown quite a bit. My son and I started to join in on some of the meets. One of the bigger ones here in Portland, we met up for wings, then took over a parking lot for some photos with a huge group of S2000s. After that, a bunch of us headed out on a 100-mile drive through the mountains up towards the Mount St. Helens Observatory. Most of the S2000 group was younger. I was one of the older people. I was about 35 at the time, with my 9-year-old son along for the ride. The driving got pretty spirited. I usually hung back a bit, let the fast guys run ahead and be the attention getters. And if you had watched my previous videos, you'd know that after taking the S2000s out on the track like PIR, like zipping around on the street just wasn't that fun anymore. But it didn't matter. It was still an incredible drive. Honestly, one of the best routes in the country, and I've run it a lot with the different cars I've owned over the years. In the end, I owned this S2000 for about 3 years. And like a lot of the convertibles I've owned, I ran into the same issue. The climate here just doesn't cooperate. Rain from fall to spring, and then when it finally clears up, it's 90 plus in summer. So the car ends up sitting around more than it gets used. But even knowing that, I still wish I had this one back. I've had a few convertibles since then. None of them I've had for more than 3 months. But I really wish I had an S2000 right now, and I'd buy a new one in a second. If you've been following this series, you know already, this is just one part of the story. I've owned 20 Hondas over 35 years, and there's a lot more coming. So if you want to see the rest of that journey, hit like, subscribe, and check out the next videos on this channel.